Welcome to Between State Lines.
Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 64. We have our friend Shelby back today. And Shelby, I think you sent me this video originally, like 2 weeks ago or whatever, from the basement yard where the guys were talking about how many feet they would lick for $500,000 each. Was that you? No?
I don't remember that. I sent you a basement yard one, but I don't think it was that video, no.
Okay, so then this is brand new then, okay? So they were asked if you were paid $500,000 per foot, how many feet would you lick? Caveats here, has to be a full lick. Can't be like a little lick. A full lick, like top to bottom. You can't tell them, the person, that you're making money off of this. And I'm adding an additional caveat that says you can't lick your own feet, but your relatives count, and you have to lick a minimum of 10 feet to qualify for payment. How many feet are you licking? Steph, I know you that look. I upgraded it from last week, so
I can tell. A minimum, or you don't get paid. So
or you don't get paid.
Get kicked in the face because you aren't explaining why you're doing this. You lose all your teeth, and you still don't even get paid.
Well, okay, but then if you do 2 feet, like your own feet or your kids' feet, that's like an easy $1 to $2 million. Like that's too easy, and then you just stop. Like I know you'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna do my kids, and that's it.
So there has to be advantages.
Where's the fun?
Ugh.
So how many feet are you licking, Shelby?
Oh God. Well, my son is not walking yet, so his are an easy one. I don't get into feet. Probably just if I can do my own and his and probably my husband's, and that's it.
You wouldn't even make the minimum.
You wouldn't even make the minimum.
No.
Yeah, neither.
I can't. You don't know.
Yeah.
You can inspect.
I feel like I'm being punished because I don't have 5 kids.
So you could inspect them. You can be like, hey, let me check these out first, and then we'll decide.
Well, see, my thing is, yes, but obviously people won't let you inspect their feet. So if you're like at the beach and people are sunbathing or they're asleep, then you can like sneak up and just like look at their foot and like inspect it and then lick it. And like I said last week, I would just go rapid fire down the beach, licking like 50 feet and then running away. The worst case scenario is I get an assault charge, spend a month in jail. I have like 25 mil. So
pay your bail very quickly. Oh my God. That sounds like an Impractical Jokers thing that they would do, you know? Just go down the beach to strangers. Yeah.
Steph is like, I think she's reevaluating her life choices here.
Yeah, I'm like,
and disgusted.
I'm trying to think of how you could make it work. I'm like, yeah, okay, so kids, you just go to like a toddler class and then you're just licking everyone's kids' feet. Like, okay, creep. Like, I can't.
But also, yes. I was like, oh, good point. But then, nope, can't do that.
Yeah. So there's just no winning here.
One of the basement boys, I think Frankie, said he would go to a pool and go into the water and like swim and lick people's feet. So you probably would know that your foot was licked, but you wouldn't really, it wouldn't be as obvious as if you did it on the...
That person's getting kicked in the face.
True.
Worth it though.
Kicked in the face. You're only probably getting 1, maybe 2 people because like you're really slow in the water trying to get to the next person.
Also true. There are so many different ways to go about it. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. I don't see that working either. Plus, like, okay, you've added the element of there are people that pee in the pool. Yuck.
Yeah, but like you're already in the pool, so like,
You're already
what's a
licking
little bit of
feet,
feet?
so
Yeah. What's a little bit of fungus between friends?
at least you're in the chlorine, so
I am disappointed in you, Stephanie.
I'm disappointed
And
in you.
Shelby. But at least Shelby will lick more feet.
Hmm.
So okay, so that's that. Well, this week was honestly one of the craziest weeks and the one of the most brutal weeks in our lifetime, I think, besides like 9/11. Um, just with all like the discourse. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed on the UVU campus. I had a friend who was actually on campus at the time, and they were texting in a group text like what's happening, and someone like busted in their classroom who had been at the actual Q&A saying that Charlie was shot, and they said it was close range in the chest. So when I saw that text, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go check all the news outlets. No one had reported it. No one did it on TikTok. Obviously, Charlie said a lot of horrendous things in his lifetime and stood for some awful stuff. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we've reached a point in society where it's become really depressing and people are openly just celebrating and wishing that this would happen more often. Other people. And I heard a story. I don't know if it's true, but apparently when his kids were there at the event, one of them, when they were like scared because all the panic was happening, everyone was running around, they were yelling for their dad. And obviously their dad is gone now. He was shot, and I don't know. I feel awful for those kids, and that like seeing their dad just gunned down in front of them. I can't imagine that.
I heard the same thing that I think specifically the daughter like ran up to him because she was scared of the gunshot.
No.
That's terrible, you know, like I can't even yeah, yeah. You can feel how you feel, I think, politically, but who can hear that and be like, yay, you know, like of course not. That's so awful. So yeah. Yeah.
So that was a shit show. And the scary part is, and this is why we are not going to go into it too deep, because there have been people who are making lists of anyone who comments about Charlie Kirk in any negative light online, and they're doxing them, and that's just another terrible thing that people are doing. Like, I saw one comment where the person said, like, "Oh, this is what Charlie said when he was alive," and they got doxxed on this website. So it's we're headed for a dark time, I think. But that aside, Trump made a video announcing the death, and I feel like if you've both have seen the video, it looks very much like AI. Like it was an AI version of Trump announcing Charlie Kirk was dead. And it's like not just the filter on the video looks AI, but his hands kind of glitch at one point and like kind of jump up and down, like just totally randomly. And his pinky just disappears completely in one frame. And so I don't know if it was like just strictly pure AI or if it was like AI edited it, because the next day he had that like droopy face and people are assuming that he had a stroke at some point this week. So, yeah. Weird time to be alive. Weird time.
No joke.
Very
No joke.
yeah. I have not seen that video. I should
I haven't either.
find it. Okay.
I'll send it to you. It's around like the 19-second mark. If you like stare at his hands, it's the weirdest thing. It like they jump up for like a split second and go back down. It's very odd, but who knows? But on a different note, different news, Shelby, how is everything going with your YouTube channel? What's the update there?
You know, life happens. Having a young child happens. My goal, I'm giving myself the goal of by the end of this month, no matter what I have ready to go with this video, I'm gonna have it up. So that is my goal as of now. But yeah, things have definitely halted more than I would have hoped. But yeah, I'm still excited about it. I still wanna do it, you know.
We are super duper excited to see it come to fruition.
Thank you.
I'll be the first one
Thank
to watch it. Give you a rating.
Please do.
Which reminds me, people of our community, okay? We got a comment on our podcast this week. Someone said we take too long to get to the frickin' topic of discussion. You know what? It was like I don't know, one of the spooky I think it was like one of the stories we talked about in like February or March, and they say we took too long to actually get to the story. And I think it's because we do our like intro, political bash, and then like our creep corner, and then just like shit talk for like 30 minutes.
Well,
But you
yeah,
know
things
what?
that we're pissed off about. I thought
Exactly.
that was the topic.
So fuck you to that person.
I'm like, sorry, guys. What was I supposed to talk about faster? Bye.
But you can leave comments. I won't take them too personally. But also don't forget to rate the podcast on Spotify because that helps us. We are aiming to get up in the rankings, so we'll see how that goes. But today, Shelby picked out a story for us to read. And I believe it's called I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl. And it's from Reddit. I believe originally it was our No Sleep, but then it was rewritten and posted to our short stories. Is that right? I think are we
Oh,
reading the
that I
same
did not
version?
know. I just knew No Sleep for sure.
Well, I've noticed we've skipped all of the being pissed off, so I guess we forgive TikTok. How about
Okay.
Subway?
All
Where
right.
do you stand on
All right.
Subway?
Beef corner. We'll go back to beef corner. Beef corner. Fuck you, TikTok. And Shelby, if you don't know this about us, uh, I post every now and then on the TikTok page for the podcast, but
Yeah.
like randomly we went from getting like hundreds of views to close to 1,000 to like 5 views per video. So like our account has randomly got shadow banned for no reason. I don't even like argue on that page. I don't like go fight in that page, but it's been like randomly shadow banned. So fuck you, TikTok.
Weird. Huh.
Also, fuck you, Subway.
Anyone who actually eats Subway and enjoys it, I would like you to come on the podcast and tell me why, because it's fucking awful. When you have choices like Jersey Mike's and Jimmy John's and Port of Subs and fucking Firehouse Subs, I don't know. Options. Subway sucks.
Did you say
Um,
Port of Subs?
Okay, I don't know that one.
I've never heard that.
well,
Yeah.
fuck you. Number 3, fuck both of you.
Damn.
I believe they're like a Midwest chain, or like not Midwest, but like more towards the West Coast, but not as far as the West Coast. Yeah, so they're
Sorry
really good.
for not existing there.
So, also,
Damn.
number 3, fuck you, cilantro. Steph, you told me like a year ago I should take scissors and cut the cilantro instead of like chopping it. Okay, great advice. I love that advice. However, have you ever washed, like rinsed off cilantro? It gets all over your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then your hands smell like cilantro. And then you gotta rinse your hands off.
Well, that's why you're saying fuck you, cilantro? Listen, I thought cilantro tasted like soap for most of my life. So I don't wash it. I simply eat it where other people make it for me. I haven't made it there yet in life.
See,
Problem solved.
you telling me you gave me this advice, but you don't actually buy your own cilantro?
If I get cilantro, it literally dies in the fridge. So yeah, I gave you this advice. I honestly don't remember it. You're welcome. Made your life better.
So we're looking for a new co-host of
You're leaving? That's messed up.
Okay, so I pretended to be a missing girl from our short stories. Here we go. Michaela Murray went missing 12 years ago on the eve of her 18th birthday. She didn't have any big plans or anything, but her friends described her as having been in a particularly good mood for what has otherwise been a normal Friday. She'd gone to school, soccer practice, work, and then came home for a night of movies with her kid brother, James. He was more excited for her birthday than she was. Even wanted to stay awake with her until midnight, but of course had fallen asleep right away. When he awoke in the middle of the night, he saw her headlights shining through his window and watched as they rushed down the country road, not knowing that it was the last time he'd ever see her. The poor kid was only 5 and would forever be tormented over why she'd left him and why she never came back. It wasn't until the sun came up on that cold Saturday morning that anyone realized something was wrong. Her parents entered her room to wish her happy birthday, only to find her bed empty, car gone, and phone off. They'd started their rounds of calls to all Michaela's friends, but no one had seen or heard from her. Panic really started to set in when Michaela's car was found abandoned on the side of a heavily wooded road, facing the wrong direction, particularly in the middle of nowhere. There were no parks or hiking trails, nor were there any signs of a struggle, or any evidence of where she might have gone next. Until Michaela's parents followed that road on a map. They knew she had a boyfriend, Tom. He was a year older and had just gone off to college. He'd been trying to get Michaela to come visit him, but her parents forbid it. But if they hadn't, this was the very road Michaela would have taken to get there. So while Linda Murray filed the missing persons report, Paul Murray sped on up that road all the way to Tom's university. Tom swore to him, and later the investigators, that he hadn't seen her in weeks. That he'd been in his room studying that night, and his roommate confirmed as much with the added disclosure of having later gone home, where he'd then spent the weekend. The rest was uncertain. The police looked deeper into Tom and found strands of Michaela's hair in his car, which proved nothing foul, but it spooked him enough to admit that he'd seen Michaela more recently than he'd stated. That night, God damn it, that he'd picked her up late the weekend prior for a midnight drive. This sounded precisely like what had happened the night she'd gone missing, but police found nothing to substantiate it. Tom was eventually cleared as a suspect, and the Murrays would never let it go. They were certain he was involved in Michaela's disappearance. So certain that Paul Murray spent several nights sitting outside Tom's door, waiting to catch his daughter going in or out. Tom's family wanted to press charges, but Paul had friends in the sheriff's department who'd assure the family that it would not happen again, and left Paul with a very stern warning. But being friends with law enforcement only went so far, as the case would soon go cold, with days, weeks, and months passing without any further updates. The public moved on, while the people in Michaela's life were left in the dark of uncertainty, wondering what had happened to her. If she was out there, somewhere, alive. And she was. She was about to return home after more than a decade gone. Because I'm Michaela Murray, and I ran away that night to start a new life. And that's what I told the Murrays anyway. I had no idea what happened to her.
You think I'm awful. That's fine. I don't disagree. I'm not proud of what I did. I was desperate. Homeless and on the run, smoking a pack a day just to function. I owed a lot of money to the wrong people for some other things that I'm not really proud of. I was stuck and needed a plan. And then I saw her face, Michaela Murray. It was on a bulletin board at some cheap motel I'd passed through. There were half a dozen girls on there, but Michaela stood out because she looked so much like me. I could have swapped in one of my old high school photos, and I doubt anyone would have noticed. Not that anyone was paying attention to this board or these girls anymore. Even the lady at the motel who'd spotted me staring said, "They ain't coming home, but I don't." Sorry, I'm thinking of your accent as I'm doing this. They ain't coming home, but I don't got the heart to take them down. As I ripped another butt later that night, I decided one of them would be coming home. Michaela's family had money, and that was exactly what I needed. If you're wondering how I expected to get away with it, I didn't. I wasn't planning on being there for more than a night. I did just enough research on Michaela to get in, find what I could take, and get out. I was going to beg them to give me one day before alerting anybody that I'd returned, to let me rest in my own bed before being swarmed by whatever media nowhere Indiana had to offer. Though after miles and miles of cornfields, my guess was that I'd have time to escape that wave. The bus station looked copied and pasted into place, standing out between a small market and gas station. I made sure not to talk to anyone. I didn't want to risk being mistaken for the town's longest missing girl, not yet. After one last cigarette, I shoved the pack and the lighter back into my coat pocket, along with my real identity. When I turned down Lincoln Ave, I was no longer me. I was Michaela Murray.
Murrays lived a pretty secluded life. Their home sat alone in the middle of endless plains. I could hardly see their neighbors. I was starting to understand why Michaela might have run away. Although the house itself was huge with an in-ground pool and a cute little gazebo out back, draped in numerous flags and dream catchers. I rang the bell and felt my stomach sink. What if my dirty blonde hair wasn't light enough, or if Michaela had some obvious scar I'd overlooked? But when Linda Murray answered the door, she nearly collapsed. She'd shrieked and clasped her hands to her mouth, bursting into heaves of tears. "Oh my God," she kept repeating. I stood there awkwardly as she squeezed me tighter than I would have liked. The dog at her legs was barking madly, and all I could think was how pissed off I'd be if I got caught because the dog didn't recognize my scent. "What is it, Linda?" Michaela's dad called from somewhere inside the house. He eventually appeared behind her and saw me standing there, secretly trying to get myself to cry. He stumbled back. Is it really you?" he uttered. I don't know why her dad's a smoker, but he is. Uh, his eyes went wide, and his bushy gray mustache twitched. The dog was still barking, reminding me that I was in fact a stranger in this house. But I nodded and said, "Yes, Daddy, it's me." But before Paul could respond, another taller figure pushed through. Little James was little no more. He was 17 now, the same age his sister was when she'd vanished. He still had that same baby face, though, only it was pale white, like he hadn't seen the sun in a while. He was staring right at me, looking almost scared. I panicked for a moment, but figured surely, of all people, I'd be the safest around James. He'd hardly known his sister, and yet the baby blue eyes behind his jet black hair were piercing into mine, and I couldn't think of anything to say. I could feel the cigarettes in my pocket. I needed one really bad. "Come here, baby girl," Paul breathed. Linda, who was still sobbing and clutching onto me, passed me off like a toy she did not want to share. Paul pulled me into his arms and held me even tighter than she had. We rocked back and forth for a moment. "I can't believe you're here," he whispered. Linda watched with her hands still covering her mouth. "James, come give your sister a hug," she cried. "It's Sissy." I wanted to puke. James didn't move until Paul grabbed his shoulder and pulled him into us. Linda then joined in as well, and we all just stood there, wrapped up in momentary silence. I wanted to escape it, but we were locked in. Okay, let's get inside, Paul said. It's cold. Paul, Paul. My voice is not consistent. I'll just turn to an Australian Paul. Australian Midwestern old man.
You
Paul
know.
Beck. You know, those exist.
Those guys, yeah. Those guys.
Paul beckoned us into the foyer where they hung my coat on a hook next to what I assumed was one of Michaela's, untouched after all these years. Paul turned, twisted, and latched the few locks on their front door. Wow, more than 2 locks. Turned, twisted, and latched. 3 locks on the door. That's a little creepy. I wondered if this had always existed or if this was a result of their daughter having slipped out one night, never to be seen from again. I followed the family further inside and was blown away by how nice the interior was, so much so that I'd slipped up and let it show. After all, nothing in this house was supposed to be new to me. I caught James's eye and feared that he'd noticed. He kept his eyes on me as we passed through room after room, deeper and deeper into the house. Linda kept reaching to touch me in any way, a hand on the back or a light shoulder squeeze. She was still sobbing this deep, painful sob. And it was at this moment, through one living room, past the kitchen, down a hall, and then finally stopped in another living room. Each Murray dropped into a separate couch. Paul gestured for me to sit next to Linda, who grabbed hold of me as she attempted to settle herself down. It was annoying, but of course I wasn't going to stop her. James was beside us, staring down at his feet, with Paul right across, beaming at me. Baby, first of all, we're not mad, he exclaimed. We just want to know what happened. If my actual dad had shown even an ounce of this concern, I might not have run away myself. I dropped my head and said, I'm sorry, guys. I needed to get out of here. I felt stuck. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I didn't know what to do. It certainly wasn't Oscar-worthy, but it wasn't playing the long con. I just needed to be passable long enough for me to swipe several of the items we'd passed on the journey into this room. Paul nodded slowly. He looked guilty and made me feel bad. Okay. Where did you go, baby? I went north. Tom helped me. He introduced me to someone in his school who gave me everything I needed. This was better, I thought. I added in some details the real Michaela would know. Although of all the lies to this point, this one felt the strangest to tell. The online consensus was that Tom had killed Michaela. Now I was making him her hero. Wow, that's quite the adventure, Paul exclaimed. I looked over at Linda because she was squeezing too hard. Her face lit up when our eyes met, and she just nodded. What made you come back here? Paul continued. I hesitated in this one, so I told the truth. I found myself in a lot of trouble. I didn't know where to turn to next. I think the only reason I didn't come home sooner was because I felt embarrassed. And then years went by. What kind of trouble? Linda gasped. She finally let go of me. No, Linda, Paul began. It's okay. She's not a little girl anymore. He laughed. That's her business. Listen, baby girl, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. All that matters now is you're home and you're safe.
A lot of baby girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just gives me a little.
Baby girl.
So he's a smoker. He's Midwestern. He's kind of Australian.
Just wait until the English accent comes out.
Nice,
Oi,
nice.
governor.
All right. Oh, let me get my glasses. God, I'm so old. Let me put my glasses back on. Yeah. To go back and forth too. That's what the old ladies do. Anyway.
Steff, where are your glasses?
I
Join the
put them on
ensemble.
for a second, but I don't think I had lights on last time.
Maybe that's what I need to do. Go darker so I don't have to worry about it. All right. He was holding on to both of my hands. This made me tear up for real. In just a short period of time, I'd flipped my thinking. Maybe Michaela was just another stupid teenager rebelling against her parents who were only trying to keep her safe. Maybe she snuck out to celebrate her 18th birthday with her college boyfriend at some frat party. Maybe some random frat guy decided he wanted her. Maybe he slipped something into her drink. Or maybe she got too experimental. Maybe somebody offered her something she'd never tried before and she took it to be cool, to show off in front of her college boyfriend's college friends. I spent my whole life wishing I'd had hers. You know what? I have an idea, Paul said, dramatically with a raised finger. I'm not even going to attempt. I thought about it.
Here's what we'll do.
If you want to do the, yeah.
I'll do the I'll do the dialogue.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see. Wait. Okay. You know what? I have an idea, Paul said dramatically. Oh no, it's okay. Well, I'll do the dialogue. You do the actual narration.
Okay.
You know what? I have an idea.
Paul said dramatically with a raised finger.
Linda, why don't you go out and get stuff for pork sandwiches, and I'll cook up some tater tots. Yeah?
He was looking at me with raised eyebrows like I was supposed to know what the fuck he was talking about. So I pretended to. This must have been some sort of Murray tradition or Michaela's favorite meal or something.
That sounds great.
I tried not to look at James, but the avoidance only made my eyes want to do so even more. And they did. James was still staring blankly at the floor ahead of him. Linda suddenly hopped up.
Michaela, sweetie, do you want to come home? Come with me?
I hated how often they were saying my name and how they spoke to me like I was 5. Like I said, a lot of baby girl. Yeah.
baby girl.
Before I got a chance to respond, Paul chimed in.
Hun, let her breathe. Run to the market and I'll get things started. And you,
he said to me,
go rest up. It's gonna be crazy here tomorrow. I just want to have one night as a family first, yeah?
I could not have agreed more. Everything was going exactly as I had planned. There was a really shiny, diamond-studded face calling my name, right next to an autographed jersey of some football player I'd never heard of. I was going to walk out with one while wearing the other.
Oi, you remember where your room is, right?
Sorry. I didn't expect that. James said to me after Linda and Paul walked off. I obviously had no idea where anything was, so I joked back.
Oh, I thought this was it.
He gave a half-hearted huff and beckoned me to follow him upstairs.
Boy, do you want to hang out, watch a movie or something? Sure. Try to stay awake this time.
He either didn't like that one or didn't get it. I followed behind as he sauntered to his room. There were several doors in that upper hallway, and I worried I was going to have to guess later which one was Michaela's. James's room was surprisingly clean. The baggy jeans and messy hair gave me a totally different vibe. His bed was made, his walls were bare, and the desk in the corner looked like it was hardly ever used, even though it probably was every day. The one window in the room had a perfect view of the backyard and the setting sun beyond the fields. I heard a lock click.
Oi, why did you come here?
James muttered. He slowly turned to face me. My heart stopped.
What do you mean? Why are you here?
He repeated in a forceful whisper. He was now eyeing me madly.
Really sorry I left you. I feel terrible about it. I always have.
He shook his head.
Michael.
Like the Joker.
He shook his head and started to tear up, like he couldn't bear to hear it. He then rushed towards me and for a moment I thought he was going to attack me. But he brushed past and stopped at the window.
Remember when I climbed the gazebo and fell?
Nope, had no idea what he was talking about.
Of course, I remember.
He laughed to himself and then marched right on up to me, grabbing me by the shoulders.
That's weird because Dad built it after she left, you fucking idiot.
He tossed me backward and spun off towards his closet. He started throwing clothes in a duffel bag.
We need to go. Now.
My whole body was tingling. I knew I was caught, but I still wasn't sure what to do.
Do you understand what's happening here? He knows. He knew the whole time.
I finally gave it up.
What gave it away?
He stopped to look back.
Because we know where she is.
I was confused. This wasn't in any of the theories I'd read online.
Where is she?
James shook his head in frustration. He grabbed me by the arm and dragged me to the window.
She's right fucking there.
He spat with a finger pointed outward. I looked out into the yard past the covered pool where the gazebo sat lifeless and weather-worn, with noticeable chips in its white paint. The fact that James couldn't bear to look at it told me what he was thinking. I frowned.
What makes you think that?
He rushed back for the bag and threw more things inside.
He built it in the week that she left.
He said with emphasis on every other word.
And they never use it during the day. Never.
Yeah, I'm like, ugh. I wasn't convinced. James was so young when it happened and clearly torn up over it, as was reported in everything I'd read about the case. When he noticed my skepticism, he huffed an annoyed sigh and turned to a dresser drawer, rummaging through before pulling out what he was looking for and jamming it into my gut. I reached down for it. It was a dirty purple bracelet, all stretchy and rubber. It had her name on it. I played with it in my hand before slipping it onto my wrist.
Thought he was gonna say it was a gun. He's like, look, bitch, get the fuck out of this house.
Fair.
Remy dug that up a few years ago. That's our dog, by the way.
He added sarcastically.
Dropped it right at my feet, and I remember it. I remember her wearing it that night.
He sounded crazy. He tried to keep his voice down, which only made him seem crazier.
You saw her drive off.
I said to him.
I saw her car drive off.
My mind was racing.
Why haven't you called the cops by now? Or run away? Because I can't.
He urged a bit louder than he meant to.
He'll kill us. All of us.
He settled down and continued.
Listen to me. We're dead if we go downstairs. We need to leave right now, Governor.
He was panting. I didn't move, didn't speak. He lowered his head in defeat and threw the bag over his shoulder, making his way for the window and starting to crawl out of it. It was just starting to get dark out there.
Please come. That's what she said. Please come.
He tried one last time. Half in and half out, which I was frozen. I listened for any sign of danger outside the room, but it was silent. I thought, this was crazy, right? And then I thought about how much I wanted a cigarette. That was how I made my decision. I took James's hand and he helped me climb out. Together we scurried on the roof of the back porch and then dropped down onto the rather large portico above the back door. I'd almost fallen down the side, but James helped me up.
Wait, so she only did this because she wanted to smoke.
She wanted a cigarette. Okay.
He's telling me I'm gonna die, but you know what? I really need a cigarette. That's the convincing factor.
God.
Okay, we're gonna run.
He explained as we crouched close together. He was nervous and out of breath.
The sheriff's downtown. We'll use the corn for cover. Stay close.
I nodded. Part of me was starting to actually believe him. Part of me was starting to. Okay. She seems a little. Sorry. I'd be like, all right, let's go. He jumped first and I followed. We took off. James was much faster than me. I looked back quick and saw Paul through the large French windows in the kitchen. I didn't look long enough to see his reaction, but I could tell he was watching us. I kept running. The dying grass looked like it would never end. There was a road in the distance, the same road I trudged along to get there, but it felt like it was never getting any closer. A gunshot rang out. Paul had fired a rifle into the air. He was shouting out at us. I just reached the gazebo. James was nearly 50 yards ahead of me. I stopped to catch my breath, holding myself up on one of the gazebo railings. I was regretting all the cigarette smoking. And then I did the most impulsive thing I think I've ever done. I took my lighter out and lit that fucking thing on fire. The flags, the dream catchers, whatever I could. It took a couple tries, but once it caught, that was it. I had no idea if Michaela was really under there or if James was just crazy with grief. But either way, I was out of there and I was never coming back. So I lit it up. I watched the flames dance along the darkening sky. Paul had started running towards it, and at that moment, Linda had pulled into the driveway. I could hear her shrill voice shouting to her husband. I was off and running again, but much to my surprise, James had stopped. He was coming back in my direction.
So wait, she didn't trust him, like didn't believe him, and then but she decided to commit arson potentially if this wasn't just a dumb kid doing something stupid. She committed
Well,
arson.
he was
to get-
shooting at her.
No, that wasn't that before he shot at her though. Didn't he light it
No.
or no?
He was
Okay.
shooting. Yeah, he was shooting. Yep.
Man, okay, that makes
You
sense.
shoot at me, I light your stuff on fire. It's only fair.
I don't know. I'd be too nervous to like stop and get shot. Here we go.
Yeah, me too.
What did you do?
He shouted before passing me. I was confused. I watched him race toward the fire, knowing that it was long past fixing.
No.
James kept shouting. He was hysterical. It was like he was watching his actual sister burn. He dropped to his knees and broke down. I wanted to go comfort him, but Paul was closing it. I had to get out of there. I made one last dash without ever looking back. By the time I'd reached the road, the sharp pain in my side had crippled me. I was barely able to move. I ducked into the cornfields and followed along Lincoln Ave that way in case the Murrays got into their car to chase after me. Actually smart. Every time I heard a car pass, I dropped to the ground and waited. I was terrified. It must have been another hour before I made it back to the station. I was prepared to get onto the next bus no matter where it was going. It didn't matter. But buses were done for the night. There wouldn't be another until the following day. I cursed out loud. A man pumping gas in his truck next door had heard me and asked if I was okay. I told him I was fine when he offered me a ride. I asked if he asked if I was going south, to which I said yes. Truthfully, I wanted to go northwest, but I just needed to get the fuck out of there. So yes, I hopped into a stranger's truck. He was an old man. I never felt in danger or anything close to it. He seemed nice. And after the day I had, I wasn't in a position to be picky. We drove in silence for a while. It was now pitch black out. The headlights pushed through the surrounding fields of black. It was eerie. The old man tried to spark up conversation, but I wasn't feeling it. He'd asked if I wanted the radio on or off, if I was hungry, if I was cold, hot. Each time I told him I was fine.
I know it ain't my business, young lady, but are you sure you're okay? It's like the worst country bumpkin accent.
It was clear that I was not. I nodded and assured him once more that I was fine. My mind was still back on Lincoln Ave, wondering what had been happening that very moment at the Murray household, or if Michaela really was buried under the now burnt rubble, or if her brother had just lost his mind.
Will you tell me your name at least?
The old man had said, breaking my daydream. I paused. I looked down at my fidgeting hands and noticed the purple bracelet tied along my wrist, the pink lettering of Michaela's name flashing with every passing streetlight. I'd forgotten that I was still wearing it. Relax. I didn't do what you think I did. That would have been a mistake. But when the old man dropped me off at a rest stop early the next morning, I saw that I'd already made a much bigger one.
Wait, is there a part 2?
There is. I thought it was all on here.
So to our audience, we read a different version to start with, and the rewritten version with the different ending, it's a bit different. So in this one, she ends up with James in the old guy's car, not alone. So we'll just pick up with that version and just keep in mind James is still here. So it's Rachel.
I uttered it instead. Frank smiled at me.
Well, Rachel, it's finally nice to finally meet you.
I let him drive us another hour. It was almost midnight. When I woke James to get out, he jumped. Apparently Frank is the guy's name. So there's that. I had Frank drop us off at a cheap bed and breakfast, something I'd grown quite accustomed to over the years. I tried once more to pay him, but he wound up giving me money instead. It wasn't much, but the gesture alone was beyond kind. In spite of everything I'd been through that day and all that came before it, it wasn't any less meaningful coming across someone as genuinely good as that man. I felt bad that I'd lied to him about my name again. Oh. So that, yeah. She lied about
She is just
her name.
a liar, pants on fire. Yeah, just.
Well,
I
at
feel
this
like this
point,
is
doesn't trust anyone.
probably thinks Frank is in on it too. So
I mean, I don't know what I would believe at this point.
Yeah.
James and I shared a bed, sleeping head to toe beside a rattling air conditioner. I wouldn't have slept anyway. I was plenty happy with the 4 hours I got. When I woke early the following morning, I went outside for a cigarette and enjoyed every moment of it. God, her and her cigarettes.
Get over.
I'd quit another day. James was sitting up in bed by the time I went back inside, his hair an awful mess, his tired eyes red. He'd asked what the plan was. He was impatient, and I understood. I told him that we should eat breakfast first and figure it out from there. It had almost been an entire day since I'd last eaten. When we went to the dining area, we saw there were only a few other guests inside. I still wanted a table in the back, but James insisted we sit by the bar where TV was playing the news. I gave in. He was worried about his mom, and I couldn't blame him for that. I'd have been worried about mine too if she were still alive. I was really hoping this aspect of our lives remained different. James was glued to the TV even as the waitress came and took our order. You're gonna drive yourself crazy, I told him as she has a country accent now too. You're gonna drive yourself crazy, I told him as she walked away. He shook his head at me and kept his eyes fixed. We sat in silence as we waited for our food and potential news. Your coat, James suddenly recalled. You left your coat at my house. I laughed, to which James blinked. It's not my coat, I explained. Well, whose is it? Some guy named Scott, I think. Maybe Jordan. It wasn't long before the waitress arrived with our meals. We'd ordered the same thing, only my eggs were scrambled. There was something about the smell of bacon and home fries that brought comfort strong enough to make you forget that you were on the run. I moaned at the first bite. I probably could have eaten both plates. I even thought I saw a moment of calm in James's face as he ate. The TV caught our attention. Thank you, John. Authorities say they responded early last night to a fire in one very familiar Indiana home, the home of Michaela Murray. James nearly fell out of his seat. I dropped my fork and a home fry fell on the floor. Missing since 2008, Michaela's disappearance is one that rocked the small town of Millersburg, Indiana, but left many hopeful that she was still out there listening. But when authorities found her car abandoned near the Elkhart River just miles from her home, friends and family began to fear the worst. Michaela was gone. Her whereabouts never discovered. Until now. I wanted to turn back to James, but was afraid of the look on his face. When authorities cleared the scene last night at 1108 Lincoln Avenue, they made a shocking discovery that would answer a decade-long mystery, but spark a new one. It cut to the sheriff's press conference. He spoke matter-of-factly while cameras clicked all around him. The fire department responded to a 911 call around 5 p.m. last night. There was a gazebo on fire in the yard of the Murray residence, and when we assessed the damage, we discovered a bunker hidden underneath. Upon further inspection of the bunker, we found the body of a young woman and child. We've indeed confirmed the woman to be Michaela Murray, but have no information further at this time. James squealed. They found her? I ignored him, my face sunken. Waitresses and patrons were noticing our panic state. Something wasn't right. She'd been buried under there for so long, there shouldn't have been much to find. And a child? It is believed that Michaela had been held captive inside the bunker since that fateful day 12 years ago, until last night when, tragically, both she and the child suffered fatal smoke inhalation resulting from the fire. Authorities have yet to confirm the identity of the child who started who started the fire. Michaela's mother, Linda, is being questioned by police while federal officials search for her father, Paul, and brother, James, both of whom are now missing. If you have any information on their whereabouts, please call this number and stay tuned for more on the story. I couldn't feel my body. I turned around and stared down at my shaking hands on the table. The world was caving in on me. What happened? James cried. His breathing was heavy, his eyes bulging out of their sockets, staring at me, bewildered. I finally looked at him. I killed Michaela. Dun 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 dun. Bam.
So I feel
What an
extra
asshole.
bad. I feel extra bad about the different versions because I feel like that first version that we read, like that's not what I read originally, and that version kind of spelled out like, oh, she could be buried there, like kind of already gave it away. Whereas the other version, there was no mention of that, so that ending was so much more impactful. Like, oh my God, she was there. Like, holy shit. So that's a bummer. I didn't know that. But still cool.
I was expecting
Yeah.
her to be buried there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
What
Yeah.
a fucking asshole, this lady. First of all, she pretended to be their daughter, okay, and was going to rob them. And then she just like ran out and kidnapped their brother, and the other kid, and then she lit the fucking gazebo on
Yeah,
fire.
it's
and
I kind of
killed.
felt like he told her, "We gotta go."
Yeah.
So
He willingly went.
or he
What-
kidnapped her.
What if James was the one that like captured his sister in the bunker? Was he
then
like
the-
5 at
When he
this
was 6?
Right. And then the child of it all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that is pretty obvious. What we're led to seems pretty obvious, but bleh, yeah. I loved the ending of that one, so very cool.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I mean, like,
No.
I thought she was just buried there, and then like, oh, she's actually
Yeah.
alive, and you killed her.
She was alive. Yeah.
Yeah, she was alive
Yeah.
after these
That's
last
just crazy.
12 years.
Yeah.
How do
That
you
was
how do
nuts.
you hide that like, how do you
Yeah.
freaking hide a person like that? But also, like, she had a child, so like, how do you hide
They only
a
went there at
childbirth?
night.
I guess you
Yeah.
That's
could. I
what
mean,
James said.
there's home births all the time now.
Yeah. They hit him back in the day, huh?
Jesus. Well, what a great story. But thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Shelby, for returning, and remind us all where we can find you. Like, what's your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my YouTube is youtube.com/@finalgirl, 6 L's on the girl, and it is coming by the end of the month. No matter what I have, it will be up there. So, and then my TikTok is just at Shelby Lene.
Fuck yeah. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.